Yeah, pleasure. Welcome back to our show today. One was with us just about a year ago. She's written a great book. This is actually out in paperback now. You Say More Than You Think. We're joined by Janine Driver. Janine, how you been the last year?
Good, Doug. Well, thank you for having me on your show last year. You know what? It became a New York Times bestseller 4 weeks after being on your show. So you've got some big listeners.
I hope we helped a little bit. I can't guarantee it was a national show, but it helped locally, I hope.
Oh, I'm sure it did. Yeah, it skyrocketed to the New York Times bestsellers list. I've since been on the Dr. Oz show several times, and many other news programs, and it's changing lives. It's really changing lives, and I'm excited to be here and to share with your listeners today that might not have heard me a year ago some behind-the-door secrets, behind closed doors at the FBI and the CIA and Scotland Yard Police with people I worked with at those departments. I'm telling all, Doug. I'm telling all.
Just for those who weren't with us, you worked for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
Right.
Before you went into
as an investigator, correct?
Investigator, so you learned a lot about, obviously, reading people in that job, didn't you?
Right. I had to use body language to stay alive. Yeah.
Well, what has it been like? We'll get to the book in a minute, but what has it been like the last year for you since the book came out in hardback? Has it changed your life?
The paperback just came back out yesterday. Yeah, it has. It has. In my speaking engagements, I'm a keynote speaker. I'm in Orlando right now. I'm out of the D.C. area. Originally from Boston, so the moxie and the accent might sneak out in the interview. But I flew into Orlando last night. I'm speaking to 1,000 salespeople this evening that make a lot of money on using body language to take it to the next level for them. So it's definitely helped catapult my speaking career.
I know on O'Reilly's show, he has a woman that talks about body language. It's really an important skill to have, isn't it? If you can read somebody's body language, right?
Right. It is. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to get my own show. They're in the process of making that happen right now. I just met with A&E and Lifetime and several different networks, and I'm going to find out in the next couple of weeks who's going to take it. With Lifetime, Sundance Channel, and we're going out to L.A. to meet with ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. So body language is so big. I mean, it's going to be everywhere you turn before you know it. And it should be. It's 50% of what we communicate with others, and don't you think that it's important for people to know what we're saying without saying a word?
You meet so many people, especially what I do, interviewing people, you can tell almost right away, is it going to be a difficult interview at the beginning, or are you going to have to draw them out, or are they going to be gregarious? You can tell just from interviewing people, but I'm sure you know more of the inside secrets of people. Just give, I know you talk about the 7-second fix. Can you give an example of that?
Yeah, 7-second fixes, and I highlight some of these in my book, are simply, say you're talking to someone, and they just aren't into you. You can tell, say if it's a date, you can tell they're just not that attracted to you. It just seems like that. You can't put your finger on it, but you just have a feeling they're not that attracted to you. Or say you're in a job interview, or you're around a boardroom table, and it just seems like the person doesn't really take your advice seriously. They're not looking at you as smart. One of the things that you could do, and we didn't talk about this last time, it's a new strategy I've been sharing with my keynote speeches, is this. If you tilt your head quickly to the left, subtly, to the left, and as I'm talking, Doug, you nod your head and you say, yeah, I'm listening, Janine, and your head is tilted to the left. Research has recently shown that when you tilt your head to the left as you're listening, you are seen as more intelligent. Now let's tilt our head to the right. So we're slightly tilting our head to the right, and I'm nodding yes. It's like physiologically, you can feel the difference between tilting your head to the left and right. Tilt your head to the right, and you're shaking your head yes as you're listening. You are perceived as more attractive.
Is that right? That's
more attractive. Yeah, so if you already have this Harvard degree and you're a smarty pants, but your face leaves something to be desired, make sure you tilt your head to the left as you're listening. Or if you look like George Clooney and you're smoking hot, but maybe you're not that smart, then you want to actually tilt your head to the left so you've got the whole package. Now, when you're speaking, it's crucial that you have your head level-headed in the middle of your shoulders. You need to be level-headed.
Now, do we know why? I mean, obviously, the brain has its own, sometimes mind of its own, separate from the rest of us. Why does the body do that? Do we know why?
Well, many things. Have you ever yawned when someone else yawns?
Mm-hmm, right.
Because our brain has what are called mirror neurons. And we have these mirror neurons, and we want to be more like the person in front of us. That's what rapport is. Rapport is people like themselves. So when you yawn and I yawn, it's part of our brain, and that's what's going on in there. These mirror neurons are connecting. Oh, and it signals a trigger for me to yawn as well. Well, the same thing happens when you go to a job interview. That person's fearful. You're going to become fearful. So if you can learn the nonverbals to appear confident, you're going to make the people around you feel confident. You're going to make them feel better about themselves. It's literally tied into our brain. And it's fascinating. I talk a lot about research and studies in the book and in my courses, of course. We do a Body Language Institute class over in D.C. It's a 2-day certification class so people can get certified in body language. But one of the studies I just came across I think your listeners would really enjoy is, do you remember that show called The Weakest Link?
Sure, yeah.
There was a woman dressed in all black, Doug, and she would say,
the weakest link. Host.
Yeah, you're the weakest link. Well, that contest would do is a semicircle of people answering trivia questions.
Right.
After each round, the semicircle would vote one person off the show. Well, research has just been done on that show, and they found out the person standing in the middle ends up in the finals 45% of the time, and they end up winning the show about 47% of the time. Winning the whole kit and caboodle. The people standing on the edges of that semicircle only make the show less than 17% of the time, and they win the finale, and only win less than 10%. So you want less than 10% wins? Stand on the outside of the circle when you're socializing with your friends or at a networking event. You are seen as dispensable, as not as valuable as the person in the middle. The person in the middle is perceived as important.
Interesting. The middle person is more the leader, and if you're on the outside, you're thought of as just an outsider, I guess, in a sense.
I mean, ask yourself, would you rather have 10% wins or 47% wins?
Right, that's interesting. I didn't even realize that. Yeah. I don't know what happened to that lady, though. She went away.
I don't know. She did. She disappeared. She was the weakest link. You would leave our country.
Well, you talk about you're going to meet with a bunch of salespeople tonight and talk to them. Obviously, people nowadays looking for work. It's a sales job to get jobs now. Can you give a tip or two on a job interview what you should do?
Yeah, I think a big mistake we make on job interviews is we go in all excited. We're like a dog in heat. We're marking our territory. We're so happy to be there. We give them that handshake, and we research the company. Our resume rocks, and we're excited. We go in and we shake their hand. And, at the end of the interview, we don't do the same. You need to leave the room just as excited as you were when you got there. Don't be afraid of saying at the end of your interview. The new body language combines the verbal and the nonverbal. It's not just body language; it's both. So at the end of the interview, make sure you say, "Is there any reason why you wouldn't choose me for this position?" And most people say, "Oh, that's too arrogant." But you know what? Today, companies are investing lots of money in a challenging economy with the person that's going to be confident and the person that's not afraid to ask for what they want. The person who's going to get the job done. So is there any reason why you wouldn't select me for this job? And if they say no, and then you say, "Great, where do we go from here?" You know what? You don't have to be number 12 out of 25 people being interviewed. You don't have to wait till number 25 to get the job offer. When you go in, make sure you're handshaking them. When you sit down, do not sit directly opposite the person interviewing you. Take the chair, shake their hand, give them eye contact, then step aside, move the chair slightly off center. Because when you go face-to-face like that, you're increasing their anxiety, and like I said with the yawning, you make them stressed, you become more stressed, and it's just this ever-ending circle of failure. Move the chair slightly off center. Then what happens is you have a physical and visual way out, and so do they. It decreases stress, and you more have to get the job. Now, if they like what they're hearing, just to let you know, our eyes can dilate or constrict. When our eyes dilate, which means get bigger, if their eyes, the black part of their eye, all of a sudden gets really big, then we know that they like what they just heard. If all of a sudden the white part of their eye just got really small, it constricts, then we know they're holding something back. So maybe they say, well, we can't offer you $60,000, but their eyes constrict. Why? They're holding something back. Maybe they can offer you $60,000. There's more to the story there. My book outlines where do you go from there.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of people have gone by these old rules that don't really apply as much anymore. I like what you say there.
Well, that worked when women were just having babies in the 40s and 50s, and they weren't working, and society was different. We're an internet society. We're quick. We need things fast. We need people that are alpha leaders and alpha employees. And one of the ways to do that is through the nonverbals.
Before we wrap up, you just kind of brought up looking at the dilation of the eyes. Is that the best way to tell if somebody's lying to you? Just kind of look in their eyes? Can you tell just from the eyes dilating?
That's definitely not the best way.
That isn't? Okay.
To tell someone's lying, one of the best ways is first you have to get their baseline. How do they normally behave?
Right.
When they suddenly change their baseline at one or two of your tougher questions. I would say to my husband, a big mistake we make when we confront people is I say to my husband, were you out to dinner last night with your ex-girlfriend, Hillary? And I confront him. Well, he's not going to tell me the truth. I'm backing him in a corner. Instead, what you should say is there any reason why two people told me they saw you with another woman last night? You don't want to be overly specific because they can deny the specifics. You might say, well, you had a Starbucks with Hillary, but really it wasn't Starbucks. It was Seattle's Best. So they can deny it and get away with it a little easier. Make sure when you are challenging someone, use the success strategies I talked about in the book. Very simply say, is there any reason why, fill in the blank, is there any reason why two people would tell me that you were bad-mouthing me? Is there any reason why I had $500 in my purse and now it's gone and you're the only person here? Be very general, but kind in your confrontation. Also with lying, the big one we see are shoulder shrugs. The shoulder shrug is uncertainty. What do you want for lunch? I don't know. Well, it belongs there. It's uncertainty. When I say at the end of a date, hey, Doug, I'd love to get together with you again sometime, and you shoulder shrug, that's uncertainty. Does it mean you're lying to me? No, but it certainly means you're holding something back. It's up to me, using the new body language, to ask a powerful question. And I would simply say, Doug, maybe I'm wrong here. It seems to me you're a little uncertain about getting together. You might say, well, Janine, I do this radio show. I'm about to travel. I have a new book coming out, and I'm not going to be around until April. So I was just thinking in my head, when can I get together with you again sometime? It's not going to be until April 28th. So be careful being a mind reader. Ask those powerful questions.
That's good tips right there. And more in this book called You Say More Than You Think. We've been talking with Janine Driver. Janine, give out your website again. People get a hold of you with a book.
Yep, it's bodylanguageinstitute.com, bodylanguageinstitute.com, and I'm going to give your viewers today, your listeners, a free gift. It's $200. It's a body language swag bag. When they buy my book, You Say More Than You Think, on Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble for $8.06 right now. It's $25 a couple days ago. The paperback right now is on sale for $8.06. Wow. It just came out yesterday. It's a New York Times bestseller. Buy the book. Email me at register@bodylanguageinstitute.com. Register@bodylanguageinstitute.com. Send me your receipt. We're going to send you a body language swag bag. It includes research and material that's going in my next book that's not coming out for 2 years. So buy the book today. You Say More Than You Think. Send it to us. Also, go to bodylanguageinstitute.com. Register for my email list and all my fun stuff. I do contests and you win prizes to come play with me at the Body Language Institute where we do 2-day classes. So I'm excited to be here. Make 2000 a year. Make it your year. This is your year. Get You Say More Than You Think. It's a tool to getting what you want.
Great, Janine. Great to talk to you again, and we'll look forward to doing it when, as you said, when the next book comes out. Thanks for doing this today.
Hopefully before then, Doug. You have a great 2011.
Thanks, you too. Bye now.